Can everybody gather round, please, to listen to Trevor? Everybody gather in. Just to begin with a message and a salute to Layla Gulen and the hunger strikers. We'll never break the will of the risen Kurdish people. In the past week, even a German government minister said that the isolation of Öcalan must come to an end. Cracks are beginning to break in the Turkish war against the Kurds.
We salute the memory of the revolutionary Nelson Mandela. We salute the man who would not bend his knee or kneel to his captors. There can be no reconciliation with a rampant imperialism. We cannot reconcile ourselves to the attacks on state welfare, housing and benefits and jobs here. We take inspiration. The Battle of Quito Quinavali, 1987 to 88, when Cuban, Angolan and Southern African freedom fighters broke the teeth of the South African Defence Force. Cuba remains. The Cuban Revolution remains. Apartheid has gone. Thank you, Fidel Castro, Raul Castro, and your Cuban volunteers. The locus of revolution has shifted from South Africa to South America, to Venezuela, Ecuador, Bolivia, and Cuba. Nelson Mandela, be assured, the locus will return to South Africa. As I said 27 years ago on this spot, every bullet fired from a Southern African freedom fighter's gun rattles through the chandeliers in the Palace of Westminster. Gangsters sit in the counting houses, own and direct the banks. Hoodlums patrol the corridors of power, while conmen draft the laws. To Nelson Mandela, on the day of your burial, you are still, with your revolutionary spirit, alive with us. His comrades who fell in battle, we salute you. You are an inspiration to those who fight oppression around the world. And today is above all a victory for those who fight racism and oppression. Long live Nelson Mandela! Long live the fight against racism and imperialism! This is the city where, in exile, he planned the revolt that would shake the timbers of the world. His name was Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. He lived and spoke and wrote and spoke in this city. His was a voice that resounded around the world. We are living in such a time that really the power must come up from the streets. This is our turn. It's either now or it will maybe never be at all. We have to take command. We cannot leave it to Parliament. We cannot abscond our responsibilities through the ballot box. Lenin said ours is a parliament were the biggest gasworks in Europe. He was right. Parliament has its place, but it's not in the vanguard. We have to rise up. We saw the response on the ground in Grenfell, in North Kensington, Lancaster West. That is what is required. Anger, analysis, determination, people taking power in their own hands. We will not abdicate responsibility. We cannot expect the Labour Party, 80% of whose MPs oppose Corbyn, to deliver what is needed to put the City of London where it belongs, to close down the arms companies, to stop the arms trade that this capitalist economy lives on. It requires socialism. It requires to resurrect the memory of Lenin, Marx, the Chartists, Milburn, Wilkes. And yes, the people of London will revolt, will take power. We've got to begin to build our own independent working class organisation to fight back against the biggest attack mounted on working class people in this country. Napoleon once said that he would give 3 regiments for a newspaper. What would Napoleon have given for a radio and television broadcasting corporation? Franz Kafka, the great Czech author, said in the age before television that the cinema puts the eye in uniform. What on earth does a television set in the hands of the British state do but put the eye in uniform in the waging of psychological warfare on behalf of the capitalist class that owns the BBC.
And now one person who's done a lot for the Kurdish issue and also as an organisation from Revolutionary Communist Group, I'm now going to have Trevor Rayne. So Trevor. Welcome to this historic square, the trophy room of the British Empire. On May the 16th, we will mark 100 years since the signing of the Sykes-Picot Agreement, when French and British imperialism carved up the remains of the Ottoman Empire. 1920, the first time the gas, poison gas, was used on civilians. The British RAF bombing the Kurds in Iraq. 1947, the Kurdish Mahabad Republic, drowned in blood by Iranian, Persian and British soldiers. March 1988, Halabja, 5,000 Kurds poisoned to death. Where did the gas come from? Britain, Germany, USA supplied the gas.
Victory to the Shah! Victory to the Kurds! Long live Kurdistan! Bizi Abo!
We are going to march out of the flames and we're going to put the fires out. Got the message, Unilever? We are on the march, part of the movement to save humanity from mindless, senseless, selfish destruction. Goodbye.
The system of exploitation, international capitalism or imperialism is in crisis. As Lenin foresaw, we are living in a time of wars and revolution. Since 1991, the year that the Soviet Union collapsed, the British state and the US state have been permanently at war. They began with bombing Iraq in the name of enforcing a no-fly zone. Now we can see plans that look like they're targeting starting a war on Iran. But at the same time, we see people at last, decent people in Wall Street. And I can assure you there will be more days of rage and risings in Britain like the ones we saw in August. For the leafy suburbs that surround our cities, for the cheap jet travel, for agrochemical farming, for the lifestyles of the most developed capitalist countries. For cities like this, ablaze with light throughout the night, and it's bars and restaurants full on a Friday evening, yes? Oil. Israel has served as a laboratory for the imperialist military, with the Palestinian and Arab peoples serving as the guinea pigs. The 1967 Six-Day War, combining speed of air cover with rapid tank advances, served as the model for NATO in Central Europe confronting the Red Army. In 1982, when Israel invaded Lebanon, it combined US-supplied fighter jets with aircraft radar and unmanned aerial vehicles. Drones used over Beirut in 1982 for the first time ever in warfare. Fitted with TV cameras and thermal imaging systems for the first time in the history of war, they flew over Beirut, sending back images of population and vehicle movements to Israeli analysts sitting at consoles hundreds of kilometers away. Now such machines, drones, fly over Libya, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Yemen, Iraq, Somalia, and they carry missiles. And the consoles, they're in the US, in Britain, not far from here, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and so on. Drones, an industry of death that is multiplying. Join with us and build a movement actually worthy of the Palestinian people's courage and convictions. And believe it or not, if you fight imperialism and fight Zionism, you will fight global warming as well.
So I'm inviting you all aboard the Oblivion Express, because it's closing time in the gardens of the West. In the future, we will know the quality of our art and poetry by the depth of its solitude and the depth of despair. That's the future that's being written out for us today. Bear in mind, we are confronting the giants of monopoly capitalism. It is time to say we must pull the plug on capitalism, pull the plug on the banks, pull the plug on insurance, disconnect the cables, overturn the tables. I'm ready when you are, senor.
In the past week, citizens in Manchester and the week before in Brighton talking about the environment and how they're going to stop climate change and save the planet. To quote Greta Thunberg, blah, 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 blah. We're travelling at 90 miles an hour down a dead-end street. We should be jamming on the brakes, but we're pressing on the accelerator. With every day that passes, disaster is getting closer and closer. Organise, organise, organise! In this nonsense, this insanity, the private finance initiative cost private firms £250 million. They expect a return of £2.5 billion on those two hospitals. A return of 1,000-fold. That is insane.
Yes.
It is greed gone mad. Down with the golden calf of profit and all who worship her.